Hi, Steve here, blessedhopeforever.com. Just wanted to pass something along that I thought you might find intriguing. Sometimes God works in very mysterious ways, and I found this very enlightening, and I hope you do too. I had to look at John 20:26 because we're in the year 2026. And what I discovered was something I think is quite remarkable. Jerusalem, just take yourself back if you can. You're in Jerusalem, AD 33. Christ has risen. You are one of the disciples. You're in the upper room. The air there is being recycled by terrified breathing of 11 men. It had been 8 days since the rumor first broke, the impossible whisper that the tomb was empty. But inside this upper chamber, fear still held the key. The heavy wooden beam that was slid firmly across the door, they were locked in, not to keep a treasure safe, but to keep the world out. And among them sat Thomas. He's sitting apart, his arms are crossed, his face a map of stubborn grief. He had missed the first appearance. He had missed the joy. You know, he refused to live on rumors. You know, unless I see the nail marks in his hands, he said, I will not believe. And then suddenly, the physics of the world bent. The wood of the door didn't splinter. The latch didn't lift, yet there was Jesus standing in the midst. He didn't bring judgment for their cowardice or their locked doors. He brought a single shattering declaration, peace be unto you. Now this moment recorded in John 20:26 was quite enlightening. It was the birth of the age of grace. It was the 8th day, the biblical number of new beginnings. And here inside this shut room, the weekly cycle of history ended and something new began. But this was only half the story. God, the master architect, loves symmetry, and he loves bookends. Now let's look at a second room, the heavenlies, maybe AD 2026. Shift your gaze here forward 2 millennia across the long dusty span of the church age to the closing bracket. The year is 2026. The similarities are not accidental. They are a divine rhyme. Just as it was in the first room, the door has just been shut, but this time, it's not a wooden door in Jerusalem barred by fear. It is the celestial door of Isaiah 26:20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. It is the ancient echo of Noah's Ark in Genesis 7 where the Lord shut Noah in. In this year, the verse and the time align perfectly. The church, the bride, imagine, we're whisked away from the gathering storm of the world. We're now inside the chamber. The world is outside. And just as in that first upper room, Jesus stands in the midst. It's our blessed hope. The church age, which began with a shut door, now ends with one. And the circle is closed. We've moved from the 7 of human history into the 8th day of the eternal state. Okay, but look closer at the faces in the room. In AD 33, the focus shifted immediately to the skeptic, to Thomas. Now this detail, folks, is the key to understanding this. When the church age began in that first room, Jesus turned to Thomas and he established the rule that would govern the next 2,000 years. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. That was us. That is us. We were the Thomas generation who had to believe without seeing. But in 2026, the era of faith ends. The bookend closes, and we no longer believe without seeing. We see him as he is. However, the narrative holds one final trembling parallel. Thomas is known as the doubter, but in prophecy, he is the type of national Israel. He missed the meeting. Just as Thomas was absent for the first appearance of Christ to the disciples, Israel will miss the first coming of their Messiah. Just as Thomas refused to believe until he saw the wounds, Israel has spent the church age in blindness, waiting until they can look upon me whom they have pierced. Zechariah 12:10. As the celebration in the shut room of the rapture concludes, whenever that is, could be this year, 2026, AD 2026, John 2026. We turn the page to the very next verse. And what does the verse say? John 20:27. Then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger and behold my hands. If 2026 is the year that the church goes behind the door, then 2027, the year corresponding to verse 27, is when God turns his face back to the earth, back to the one who missed the departure. He turns to Israel. The church is saved. Faithless no more. Having finally seen the Lord, now the pain of the tribulation period begins. Not to destroy Thomas, but to save him. To force the skeptic to look at the hands, to touch the side, and finally, after 2,000 years of silence, to fall to his knees and cry out the words that end the story. My Lord and my God. John 20:26. Jesus appears to the gathered disciples behind shut doors, bringing peace and converting the skeptic. 2026 could be the event that we've all been looking forward to, where Jesus appears to the gathered church behind shut doors in heaven, bringing peace. And the focus then shifts to the skeptic Israel. It is a perfect narrative. The church age is sandwiched between these two shut door appearances. I find it amazing. I find it encouraging. I find it enlightening. I find it humbling. I find it, I don't know what the right word is. Spectacular. Of all the verses, it has to be John 20:26. Just wanted to pass this along. I hope you find encouragement in this. Don't miss my next video, because I hope to show you what I believe is the single greatest sign in the heavens since we began all this. I love you all. I truly do. Rest in him. Till next time, thanks for listening.